get a better understanding of the evolving China-Africa partnership, this is China-Africa Talk.
Hello, I'm Tian Yu, and welcome to another episode of China-Africa Talk. The FIFA World Cup has already produced plenty of unforgettable moments, and African teams have once again given fans a lot to talk about. Although only Morocco remains in the tournament after Egypt's dramatic 3-2 defeat to Argentina, this World Cup has still been a historic one for African football, with a record 9 teams reaching the knockout stage in the expanded 48-team tournament. Today's discussion was actually recorded on July the 4th, before Egypt's round of 16 match against Argentina and before Morocco's quarterfinal clash with France. So when our guests talk about Egypt's chances of going further or preview Morocco's next challenge, that's the context. Joining us are David Mbewa, Mohamed Abubakar, and Mahia Mutua from CGTN Africa's Sports on the Go. They look back at Africa's overall performance, discuss why some teams came so close but fell short, and ask what this tournament says about the future of African football on the world's biggest stage. Let's listen in.
How would you rate Africa's overall performance in this first knockout stage?
We've had some surprises. For me, what's been something to remember is obviously that this is an expanded tournament. So the round of 32 I've not really taken as a good test for how much African teams have improved. I've always thought that the last 16 is in line with the past tournaments. So the fact that there were more African teams meant, of course, that there was more chances for African teams to progress. So it's kind of been par for the course in terms of history, seeing the teams that did go through, Egypt and Morocco, go through to the last 16. Obviously, for the continent, there have been those good stories like Cape Verde going through. So I'm more of the opinion that I'd like to wait and see how the other teams do in the next round, the last 16.
Yeah, Mohamed?
Right, thank you, David. Happy to be here. To me, obviously, it was a happy one, having a record number of African teams in the knockouts. But it's also good to remember that it's the round of 32. This is the first ever round in World Cup history, but it's still the knockouts. So I've never had the luxury of watching so many African teams participate in knockout World Cup football. So that was good. It was a good test for the African teams as well, because it's different. It's a different ball game. It's not like in the group stages where you mess up one game, end up drawing or losing, you have another 2 to make amends. So it's been brutal lessons for many of the African teams who were having like a good result throughout their matches but ended up losing the game at the very end. It was more of like a theme. Some of the African teams, like 4 or 5, lost in that manner. So that was the downside, but obviously we've had really good performances as well. Cape Verde lost their match against Argentina, but it felt like a win. Just seeing an African team participate for the first time and taking the defending champions Argentina all the way to extra time was a joy to watch. Unlucky, but still you could see there was a lot of pride by those Cape Verde players and also their fans on an amazing run at this World Cup. And of course we have Morocco, who this is familiar territory for them now. They reached the semi-finals last time out. Hopefully they're planning to better that or even get to the semis again. Egypt again, a wonderful story. Mohamed Salah, what a cold penalty he took against Panenka, exactly, against
After
Australia.
that debacle that Brahim Diaz put Morocco through.
Yep, that was really nice to see. It calmed his teammates down because they scored all their penalties, and to have Egypt as well in the knockout stages, they've never made it to the knockout. They never even won a World Cup match coming into this tournament. So that's another beautiful story to follow. Hopefully they can continue their run. They're facing Argentina next, so it's going to be an interesting one. But yeah, overall, I would say disappointing on the from 9 to 2 teams, but still some of the matches, even though they ended up in losses for the African teams, it was still a joy to watch that they could compete, even though up to the very end lapses of concentration meant they they lost and were eliminated.
Yeah, and we'll get to that later on in the podcast. But I'd like to ask you guys, does this first knockout stage just seem like an extension of the group stage? Because the number of African teams that now have made to the business end, should I call it that, of the tournament, is pretty much the same number with what we've been in line in previous tournaments.
Well, for me, I'd say that there's a lot more factors than just the fact that there's a new, round of football. There's also the hydration breaks, which, people have said has had a very big impact on teams and the direction of the game. There's a lot of reasons that African teams did progress to the last 32, which, by the way, is not a small feat. So it's a good thing, yes, definitely. Like I said, I'm looking to the last 16 more closely, but it's obviously something that maybe will take us more World Cups to see, how the African continent does, and how also the big fish, the big teams in the world react to some of the disappointments that you've seen, like Germany, like the Netherlands. So it's not only an African thing, it's also the whole world is coming to terms with this expanded tournament, with these new rules, new changes. That would be something to keep an eye out for in subsequent tournaments as well.
Okay. I'd like to just jump and ask you, gentlemen, out of the 9 teams that made it to the round of 32, which one do you think on paper was the best place to qualify for the round of 16? Mohammed.
Oh, man, David. On paper, I think we tried to predict how many teams would go through, and we went through the fixtures for the round of 32, and I was hopeful we were going to have at least 4 teams go through, just based on paper and seeing that,
Yes.
most of those matches were evenly poised if you look at the nations and where they're ranked. Yeah. But then again, football, it's not only decided on what you see on paper. It's also the experiences they have and the football you play on the pitch. I was so sure Cote d'Ivoire and Senegal would join Egypt and Morocco, because my prediction was those 4 teams are high chances that those 4 teams are the ones who are going to go through. And I also gave a chance to South Africa against Canada. But then again, I just kept it 50-50 because Canada are the hosts and all that. But for Senegal and Cote d'Ivoire to miss out was really painful for me to watch, as an African. But yeah, like Mahia said, it's knockout football now. Yes, it is the round of 32, which is the original phase on previous World Cups, but still it's the knockout stage. Most of these teams had not experienced knockout World Cup football. South Africa, first time. Cote d'Ivoire, first time. Egypt, first time. Cape Verde, obviously, first time. So all of them were experiencing knockout football for the very first time. It was nice to know that we had 9 teams. When you look at previous tournaments, the first round of 32 was only 5 teams. But I really wanted to see, out of those 9 teams, how many would go to the round of 16 now, because in previous World Cup, in World Cup history, we've never had more than 2 African teams go to the round of 16. So that was the test for me. I wanted to see now we have 9 teams in the round of 32. Will we have more than 2? Because 2 is the biggest number of African representation we've ever had at a single World Cup in the round of 16. It looks like it's the same for now. It will remain the same too.
Yeah. I would just echo what Mohammed said, because for me, obviously adding to the 2 that qualified, Cote d'Ivoire and Senegal should have progressed further. In my opinion, Cote d'Ivoire were actually the team that I saw going furthest after the group stage, because their attacking football really, really impressed me. I expected a lot more from that team, a lot more from the talents that they have on the pitch and also on the bench. And that to me is the biggest question mark. But you talked about the teams that did qualify. Another team that I really expected a lot from, despite the recent problems that they have that didn't go through, is obviously Tunisia. Talking about the history, the history that the nation has had on the continent in the FIFA rankings, I expected a lot more from them than what we saw.
We can digress a bit, but Tunisia's campaign has probably to go down as one of the worst World Cup campaigns of any team to qualify for the tournament. I mean, you get whipped 5-1, and then you get rid of the coach, and then you come back and then you still get beaten. And I mean, was that a wise choice?
Easiest job for him. I mean,
Yeah.
he's hired for a few matches, and then there was no pressure on him basically, because the team that has been there leading up to the World Cup have been preparing for so long, and then you fire the coach after one match.
Yeah.
It
It should be a lesson for the federation. My thoughts on Tunisia, because a few weeks or a month or two leading to the World Cup, they fired their coach who took them to the World Cup,
Yes.
and hired another coach. So that coach had a number of weeks with the team, and then during the tournament, you lose your first game. I mean, it happens.
It happens.
Yeah.
But for you to change coaches in the middle of a tournament, a World Cup tournament, this is not under 17 AFCON or, this is the biggest of football stages. It doesn't work like that. I mean, even if you bring the best of coaches, that coach needs to know what he's working with. You can't just bring him there and then, you have 2-3 days to the next match. You can't be a miracle worker like that. So I would put down the failure on Tunisia's part to the federation for this particular campaign.
And the fact that their qualifying campaign was built on defensive solidity, and they came and conceded a truckload of goals.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a whole other issue on itself. But gentlemen, I'd like us to speak about the manner of defeats that the African teams suffered. And Mohamed, you touched on it. I mean, it was heartbreaking. Cote d'Ivoire, yes, but I feel the worst collapse was Senegal. 2 goals up. I mean, you barely have, say, 10 minutes of normal time and added time. And to just concede in that manner. Gentlemen, what are your reactions to those spectacular collapses?
Let me start with the positives. Is that I think the attacking caliber of African teams has improved.
Yes.
Within 85 minutes.
Yes.
All these teams, it seems like the problem is just finishing out the match, seeing out, that champion mentality to whether you're 1-0 ahead, 2-0, 3-0, whatever, see out the match, close the opponent down, and claim victory. There just seems to be a problem there. So attacking wise, I do think that the African continent has improved. We're seeing a lot more attacking players in demand in the European markets, like you're seeing Yan Diomande being talked about, following in the footsteps of people like Sadio Mane, etc., etc. But closing out matches, I don't know if it's a lack of concentration. I don't know if it's a lack of maybe conditioning. 2 of the teams didn't have their main fan supporters there. The 12e Gainde of Senegal and the Ivorians as well, because of visa issues and traveling to the United States, Canada.
Could have contributed.
Yeah, it might have contributed. We don't know.
But does it come down to the players on the pitch, or is it the tactics from the coach? Is it the coach who's not sufficiently guiding them, or even just telling them? I mean, sometimes you can, when you watch this thing on TV, you can see the coach like sort of telling his players like, move back or come and close him down. And Senegal looked like they were just playing expansive football up to that. I mean, they just kept on going. And I think it looked like they felt that the third goal, regardless of how much little time was left, would now completely kill off the game. But they were really comfortable at 2-0. And they looked like they had Belgium at arm's length. So is it down to the coach, or is it just the players lapsing concentration?
I think if you look across the 9 matches that involved, or let me say the 7 matches that involved the 7 teams that were knocked out, it's a little bit of both. I'll give you an example of Senegal, Belgium. They were controlling that match for like 70, 75 minutes.
Completely.
And then the coach started subbing the experienced players off the pitch for younger players. I'm not saying the younger players are not good enough, but still, at that point, a World Cup knockout game against Belgium, I think Belgium is in the top 10, if I'm not wrong. They're 9th. You shouldn't be that complacent and think, it's over and done with. By the 80th minute, is it Papis Gay who was subbed? I mean, 10 minutes is a lot.
It's a long time.
It's a long time.
Yeah.
Obviously, they missed Edouard Mendy. He was injured. The goalkeeper with a horror mistake for the 2-2 goal,
Yes, yeah.
the equalizing goal. So I would say a little bit of both. The players on the pitch, especially the goalkeeper, let them down with that one. And then a team like Bafana, they didn't have a striker throughout this tournament. Ghana, you can tell, no matter how much they're coached, still, you can play all the good football, but if a striker doesn't avail themselves. Cote d'Ivoire as well. How I wish we could have Didier Drogba in this team.
Yes.
Just Didier Drogba, because Due, the fullback, was whipping in crosses,
Yes.
but there was no one in the
Yes.
box.
Yeah. Does that say, Mohammed, then maybe then that African teams maybe suffer from a lack of depth? Because it seems like they're able to get a very good first 11.
Yeah.
Very good first 11, but the substitutes maybe are too raw. And that's not to say that there's no talent from the African continent. I mean, to get a first 11 of good players for Senegal, Cote d'Ivoire, Ghana is one thing. But, you know, you're seeing online a lot of tongue-in-cheek questions that there's a lot of Africans making or players of African descent making impacts for their teams at the World Cup, like Switzerland, like France, you know.
Yes.
The players are there.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the national teams of Africa, like Mohammed has said, coming off the bench, maybe that quality isn't there. And maybe that's something that needs to be worked on.
Yeah. You see a team like DR Congo, I think they're well equipped, and they would have won that match against England had it not for the tactics. That's my opinion. After they got that first goal, they decided to just hold for that one goal lead.
Back.
And they have the players to transition.
Yeah.
And England were exposed most of the time because they were really chasing for that equalizer.
Yeah.
But throughout that game, I was wondering, you have Wissa, you have so many good players who can transition. The Sunderland player, the midfielder.
Sadiki.
Sadiki.
No, Sadiki.
Yes. Brilliant. But I don't know why they decided to just defend against England with players like Jude Bellingham, Harry Kane.
Yeah.
You are always going to end up conceding if that's your game plan throughout. I feel they could have done more. The coach had the players. But yeah, so that's what I'm saying. It's a little bit of both. There's some teams who had the players on the pitch, but the tactics were wrong.
Cote d'Ivoire had 14 corners. In
14
their last
corners.
14.
Yeah.
I think so. They were shooting. They were attacking.
I think I think it's Nicolas Pepe and Diallo that have been scoring most of their goals, and those are wingers. The strikers.
Yeah. I think one of the highest corner counts I saw was, I think Canada hit 19.
Wow.
Yeah. And now, gentlemen, I mean, still sticking on that point, former German midfielder and World Cup winner Bastian Schweinsteiger caused some controversy with some comments about the tactics and mindset of African football. One thing that jumps to mind is wild. And I mean, obviously he rubbed so many people the wrong way. Jurgen Klopp famously declined to get involved, but other people, I mean, the people who've not held back and they've really gone for his throat. If you look at the manner in which the African teams, I mean, let's just say it, let's admit it, call it a spade, they collapsed. Because for Senegal, you can't be 2-0 up and concede and just get knocked out by that, because Belgium were out of it. I mean, we've talked about the DR Congo, we've talked about Cote d'Ivoire. Was there any truth really to what Schweinsteiger said? And is it that we just take it personally? Because, I mean, he's won it. He's won everything at the highest level. So someone could argue that he knows what he's talking about.
I would say maybe the way in which he said it came out wrong, but his point makes sense. One of the major undoings of the African teams was lack of concentration and just seeing out games. Obviously, he could have said it a little bit better rather than just, saying that Africans, they played like Africans, So I think he could have said it a little bit better, but I understand what he was trying to say, which is what many African fans have been thinking as well. Like, why are the African players, the African teams, not locking in for 90 minutes? Because Amad Diallo equalized with a beautiful goal in the 75th minute, I think, or late 70th, like 78th or something. And then 6-7 minutes later, 3 defenders follow one player with a ball and leave Haaland, who is supposed to be marked.
Of all players.
Of all players, surely there's a problem. The same with the Canada goal. They were attacking and the Canada player who scored, the midfielder, was left alone throughout the transition. I think it's Mokoena, who was the closest to him, but he was just jogging back. This is in the 92nd minute, I think, or 93rd. Just lock in. Stay with your man throughout. He did so well throughout the game. But at that one moment, they got punished.
I think what African teams do with such quotes is what's important now. Because what Schweinsteiger said is not something that is new. It's not something that should take anyone by surprise. A lot of people have these negative thoughts towards the African continent. And I think that African teams should follow the example of Cape Verde, to go to a World Cup with nothing on your shoulders, unless you're one of the big teams on the African continent. I mean, if you're Nigeria at the World Cup, there are expectations from you.
Yeah.
Morocco now, there are expectations from you. But if you're Cape Verde, if you're an Angola, Togo that ends up going to the World Cup, or even Ghana now, you have to just almost use this as fuel now going forward. You have to say, they don't, and you could see Cape Verde, I think, are the best example of this. Cape Verde could have gone out at the group stage and they would still have, celebrations in their country, because they've gone where many nations have never gone before. Us as Kenyans here, we don't know what it's like to have our nation at the World Cup.
Exactly.
To then progress to the round of 32 and to do well against teams past winners of the World Cup. It's incredible. Nobody expected anything from them.
Exactly. No one.
And they've surpassed everyone's expectations.
Their president did, I think I did see him mention that they'd win the whole thing.
I mean, if you're president, what are you supposed
What
to
does
say?
you say?
They say if you have nothing to lose, you have everything to win. So.
Absolutely.
So why not?
Anyway, wonderful performance by Cape Verde. And Mohammed, I'd just like to jump onto something. You mentioned Ahmad scoring a wonderful equalizer. I'd like to just find out from you guys, let's just talk about the group stage and, of course, the round of 32, but which players for you stood out from the teams from Africa? Yeah, just give me like two or three. Who stood out for you?
2 or 3?
Yeah, just 2 or 3.
You want to go first, Mahia, then I go?
No, you
All
go
right,
first.
I go first?
Let me tell you, I know you guys have your list, but
Yeah.
for me, I feel, people have talked about Vozinha, guys have come and talked about Saibari and his Boadi from Morocco, but I feel the best player, and no one is talking about him, is Ismaila Sarr.
Interesting.
I think he's even a prime candidate
Yeah.
for CAF player, men's player of the year. I feel he's had an outstanding season with Crystal Palace and with Senegal, because
You're
there's
right.
the AFCON, and then there's Crystal Palace, and then in the World Cup, he scored consistently. And had it not been for that lapse of concentration,
Did he score 4?
Sorry?
Does he have 4 goals?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
He's the one who'd have put Belgium to the sword,
Yeah.
if not for that collapse.
I think that's a good shout, yeah.
Yeah.
Ismaila Sarr, yeah.
Ismaila Sarr.
I was gonna pick. You have another. You have others. You have a list. Yeah, finish
For me,
yours.
that's the best one.
That's the best one.
That's the best one. Nobody should be talking about really anyone else. I mean, if Morocco go ahead and get further, and Saibari's performances, sort of also just maintain at that level, then he could. But I feel Ismaila Sarr is the best.
You know why I have Saibari in my list? It's because going into the World Cup, he's never played as a striker, but he's sort of like the false nine striker for Morocco now, and he's taken that role so well. So he's in my list. I'll give you 3 players.
Yeah.
Amad Diallo hasn't played as much as I wished he could, but he's been Cote d'Ivoire's best player alongside Nicolas Pepe. I'm really impressed by Pepe.
As an Arsenal fan.
Yeah, and he's really like turned up for Cote d'Ivoire. He's played amazing. Even the second group game for Cote d'Ivoire, he almost set up the winner for Cote d'Ivoire, only for Adingra to mess up.
Fluff his lines,
But Wissa, for me also, Wissa has been exceptional. For DR Congo. I think those are my top three: Diallo, Wissa, and Saibari. Vozinha is just special. We never knew about. I never knew about Vozinha.
Exactly, yeah.
But now, like the saves he made even yesterday or against Argentina was crazy. But I would, because I like attacking football and all that, I would pick the attackers.
Okay.
Diallo, Wissa, and Saibari.
I would also throw in, I didn't expect a lot from Mohamed Salah. And to see how he's also, it's not just about goals, but also how he's led his team. I've been impressed with him. A lot has been said about his last season at Liverpool, but the composure he's had with a formidable Egypt team has been something to look out for. The Imam in Morocco.
Ashur.
But also
love his celebration.
But
by
also
the way. I think he has
United,
the best celebration.
Yeah. Man United's right back. Why am I forgetting?
Mazraoui.
Mazraoui has been playing out of his socks, but for me, you can't get past Ahmad. Alternating with Pepe coming. He almost scored a beautiful free kick.
Yeah.
Yes, as well.
Yes.
Yeah,
that would have
tied the game.
So
what a player.
Yeah. Now those are the best of the best. Now, who has let you down?
Oh, no.
Seriously. Let's not mention the whole Tunisian team.
Who do I pick?
I think I would say I expected
You go
a little
first,
bit
yeah,
more.
you go first.
I expected more from Sadio Mane. I know
Right.
he's not as young as he is anymore, but I've seen enough of him in the Saudi Pro League to know that he still has it in him. But I feel like he lacked the energy this time. He looked a little bit low on energy. And I really thought he would be that galvanizing force, especially as Senegal was supposed to see out the game. So I wouldn't say like the biggest letdown, but in terms of a holistic perspective, because it's not like he made individual errors or anything, but I thought he'd light up the tournament a little bit more, especially, and just help Senegal in the manner that Mohamed Salah did for Egypt.
I'd throw in South Africa. I think it's hard to play. The roles were reversed in 2010 when the two teams met each other in the first match, Mexico and South Africa. It's hard to play the opening game against a host nation, especially a football mad host nation like Mexico in Mexico. But the mode of collapse, the lack of discipline didn't sit well with me. Obviously they did recover but I expected more from South Africa as well. I think that they should have
beat Czechia.
Yeah.
But now the red cards.
Yes.
The second game.
Yeah, I might have expected more from them there. Yeah.
Okay.
And one of the reasons the African teams also got drawn against tougher opponents in the round of 32 is because they failed to finish. None of the teams finished as group winners.
Yeah.
And we could have had one or two,
Absolutely.
or at least three who could finish as group winners.
I thought Ivory Coast Cote d'Ivoire were going to beat Germany.
Yes.
Exactly,
That was
because
the
Germany
biggest
lost their last
disappointment.
game against Ecuador,
Yes.
and Ivory Coast could have been group winners, and maybe they could have gotten, an easier match. I would throw in Koulibaly. I know he's in the latter stages of his career, but the first two games he was at error of most of the goals, and he was benched for the third game. So I wish he could have just started as a sub the first two games. Senegal could have finished maybe second in the group and not third. Yeah.
Okay.
And Foster, did Foster play? South
Foster
Africa
played the
striker?
first
Yeah, he
game
did.
Yeah.
and didn't have much of an impact.
Yeah, Foster was also a little bit of a letdown because he plays for Burnley,
Burnley, yeah.
in the English.
All right. So lastly on this topic of African players, do you think there's anyone who's set themselves up for a big money move? I know Saibari has already made the switch from PSV to Bayern Munich.
Diomande.
Diomande.
Yeah.
Is it Diomande? What's
Yan Diomande, yeah.
Yeah.
The left winger, Cote d'Ivoire.
Yeah,
For sure. I mean,
he might be moving to either Liverpool or PSG. I think it's PSG.
he'll
if I'm
probably
not
be the biggest money transfer this summer. Vozinha, you never know.
40.
You never know. I mean, you've
From
seen
the
crazier
second
things.
tier of Portuguese
I
football.
think he can, if he makes a move to like a Braga or a Portuguese, one of the big boys in the Primera.
Yes.
I think that's a big move
Okay.
for a 40-year-old.
Yeah, that would-
A lot of South African players play, in the local league. So, where are there more eyes on you than the World Cup? So that could also happen as well.
So you're asking us to choose to mention who
yes,
might
just,
get a
who do you think?
the Moroccan
has
the
done
Moroccan
something?
youngster Bouadi.
Uh-huh.
I think
Yes, he's been talked about.
he
a lot.
could make a big move. I kind of see a move for him. He could be signed and then loaned back to Lille. That can be a possibility, but I think he's one of the players who will benefit from a big move after this World Cup. And there's another midfielder from Cote d'Ivoire. Is it Ulai?
Yes.
Ulai,
Yes.
yeah, a really good midfielder. He plays in Turkey right now, but I think if he makes a move to the English Premier League, any team in the English Premier League, that would be big for him. A Brighton maybe, or a Crystal Palace, or even the big boys. He can.
And that just
Sipenga also. Kipenga or Sipenga from, is it the DRC?
DRC, yeah. The guy who scored against England, yeah?
Yes.
The white
Yes,
player,
yes.
yeah.
And
good
whose
player.
keeper also improved.
There's a player I really, really love from South Africa. Mudau, is it Mudau?
Oh, Mudau.
I don't know if he's
left back.
the latter stages of his career, but silky player, man. Like the way he played.
He was brave. He was
So
playing-
good defensive wise and also attacking wise. I really wish such a player could make a move to Europe, but I know that the South Africans love their league.
Mohamed knows how he plays football regularly. So play 90 minutes with chewing gum is exhausting. And
I
the
know.
man, he was full
Yeah,
of
I
energy.
think he was my best South African player. I really enjoyed watching him. Yeah,
playing 90 minutes while chewing.
while chewing gum.
gum.
Yeah.
And also DRC's goalkeeper.
Yes. Mpasi. Yeah.
Yeah. So as we come to the end of this discussion, I'd like to ask you guys, so given everything that we've talked about, would you say that Africa has closed the gap between itself and the world's elite in terms of world football? Because Senegal, yes, they had the 2 losses and then they won and then they came and qualified and were still knocked out. But as Mahia said, the attacking football has been on show. It's I think every team has scored in the World Cup, and Senegal were really good. Cote d'Ivoire were good. We've seen a lot of potential from these African teams. So does this mean, even if we've gone from 10 to 9 and then 9 to 2, does this mean that there's something good happening in terms of the structure and the players?
I would say that this is going to be a very important World Cup for African football because of what it represents going forward. This is a watershed World Cup for the African continent because it's shown what African teams can do. We all know what they can't do. I mean, you talk about history, that's been, spewed back and forth for history, but this World Cup, 2022 in Qatar, Morocco opened the door. This World Cup, seeing European teams on the ropes against African teams and knowing that African players, break transfer records in the European market, can play good free-flowing football, just need to seal up concentration at the back. What Africans do after this World Cup is what's most important. I think that other teams that have never been to the World Cup know now that there's more opportunities to qualify this time around and going forward. The next one is literally a third of it will be on African soil.
Yeah.
What is there to lose? Again, just put on your Cape Verde hat and go play. Go give chances to youngsters, give chances to, the scouts will be there. Get your players scouted, get your players to good academies. This is again a very important moment for African football going forward.
Okay.
You've mentioned a very good point, Mahia, giving chance to youngsters across the 9-10 teams that were the World Cup. I've seen some teams really force some of the, their senior players. I'm not going to mention names,
Mohammed,
but
you should mention
they have. And you see, a good example would be the Buadi and Amrabat situation.
Yeah.
He could have easily just gone with Amrabat because he's always been there. But Buadi is young, can cover more right now, and would give more because he's just at the beginning of his career.
He's fearless.
Fearless. Yes, Amrabat can be there in the squad, but more African teams need to take that approach. Put the youngsters in. The Amad Diallos should start. Don't go with like the older players. The older players can be in the squad and come in and be impactful as well. So that's a really, really good point.
The same youngsters that you said were introduced for Senegal, and we all know how that ended.
Oh, yeah. I think just finding a balance, maybe, yeah. For Senegal, it was different. Papis Gueye is not old. He's an experienced member of the squad. I think he's in his mid-20s or 26, 27. What I meant by senior old players is the Koulibalys, the Amrabats, the
Jordan Ayus.
Yeah, the Jordan Ayus. You just put fresh legs, young players who can. But for you to remove someone like Papis Gueye, was it Papi Gueye? Papis. Yeah. I feel that was the undoing for Senegal in that match. But I know we've covered that. We're past that. But I'm really excited for the next World Cup. Like Mahia said, I think the next World Cup is the most important now for African teams after what they've experienced in this one.
So this Marathon World Cup is far from over. We're just getting into the round of 16. We started with 10. Now we are down to 2. So briefly, gentlemen, we know it's Egypt and Morocco. Who do you think will go farthest in the tournament? Mohammed?
Based on who they're facing in the next round, I would say Morocco have the better chance against Canada. If they beat Canada, they'll face either France or Norway. So that's going to be a tough one if it's France. Egypt against the defending... I mean, we've seen the defending champions can be...
Yeah, they can
gotten.
be rattled.
Yeah,
They got their noses bloody.
Exactly, yeah. So I think if Egypt need any motivation, they should just watch that match between Cape Verde and Argentina. And they can do it. And I feel if Egypt go past Argentina, they have a chance to even reach the semis. Yeah.
Mahia?
I agree. I think Morocco have the easier path in terms of their next opponent, and they've been here before. So I think Morocco. But both of them have, plenty of support in the United States, Canada, and Mexico. But I think it's Morocco have the easier path. Yeah.
Now, so to close this, I know none of you are betting men, but just give me your scorelines, predictions for Egypt and for Morocco. Mohammed?
These days I don't even believe in my predictions anymore after what happened in the round of 32. But let me
knockout
just say
football. Anything can happen.
a scoring draw between Egypt and Argentina.
Okay.
And because of Dibu Martinez, Argentina to win it on penalties after the 120 minutes. Maybe 2-2 and then Argentina to go through. But for the Morocco one against Canada, I think maybe 3-1 Morocco.
Okay, Mahia?
I'm saying 2-0 Morocco, and I'll go stay with the African teams 1-0 to Egypt.
Hey,
Salah
just don't go to penalties.
Yes,
no
They
penalties.
should not go to penalties. Yeah,
Salah scoring against McAllister.
yeah, that would be beautiful.
And that was David Mbewa, Mohamed Abubakar, and Mahia Matua from CGTN Africa's Sports on the Go, sharing their thoughts on Africa's World Cup journey. While the tournament has moved on since this conversation was recorded, with Egypt now eliminated and Morocco preparing for a huge test against France, the questions raised here remain just as relevant. Has African football taken another step forward? What lessons can teams learn from the knockout stage? And how close is the continent to producing another World Cup semi-finalist or perhaps even a finalist? We'll soon find out as the tournament reaches its decisive stage. Thanks for listening to China Africa Talk. I'm Tian Yu. We'll see you next time.